Hello all, welcome back to my channel. This is going to be a really exciting tutorial on recursive functions. So we have already learned about functions. Now what is a recursive function? So recursive, as the name suggests, it's something like a repetition. So just like we have a for loop where the loop keeps getting iterating till we reach the final element in that for loop. So recursive function is something similar. If we put a condition inside a function and expect the function to keep repeating till that condition is met, it will keep repeating itself. The moment that condition fails, it will come out of the function. So that is how a recursive function operates. So if you have not understood whatever I've just spoke, don't worry about it. Once we start coding, things will become easier. Okay, let me try to create a for loop first, and then I'll also create a recursive function replacing the for loop. Let's see how they are similar or different from one another. So if I want to run a for loop and I want to print the square of the first 10 numbers, so I would be doing something like this. For I in range, since I want the numbers to be printed from 1 to 10, I would be using 11 as the last element here. And if I just print I square, it would print the squares of all the numbers from 1 to 10. Now, if I want to do the same thing using a recursive function, let me define a function first, recursive square, and let me pass the number n inside. Now, inside the function, what I want to do is I want to print all the numbers up to n, right? Or all the numbers from n to 1. So the moment it is 0, I just want to come out of it. So if I have to print n square here, n square, all that it would do is it would just print that particular number. But I want this function to get repeated till it reaches 1. So if I enter the number as 10, it should first print 10 square, then it should print 9 square, 8 square, all the way up to 1 square. So here I have to put a condition. If n is greater than 0, then keep printing n square. So if n is greater than 0, keep printing n square. And at the same time, I want to print the next element, which is 1 lesser than n, which is n minus 1. So how do I do that? I have to call the recursive function here. Recursive sq, and inside this recursive function, I would be calling n minus 1. So first it has already printed n square, which is say 10 square, and now I have to call the function again so that it prints 9 square. So when I call the function itself, inside the parenthesis, I want to pass a number less than 10, which is 9. So I pass n minus 1. And now again, this function is read. This function is called. Again, it checks 9 is greater than 0. Yes, it is. So it prints 9 square. Then again, now here I have to return this function. Return. So once it prints 9 square, it would then return this function. So return this function as in it is actually calling this function again. So it calls, but what does it call inside the parenthesis? 9 minus 1, 8. So it calls a function recursive square 8. 8 is greater than 0? Yes. So 8 square. Now recursive function 8 minus 1, 7. So inside when it calls this function recursive square 7, 7 greater than 0? Yes. So print 7 square. And this loop continues. So if I execute this function, and now if I call this recursive square, and if I pass a number something like say 6, so it will be printing 6 square, 5 square, 4 square. I have made some spelling mistake. Let me just copy paste it. Sometimes copy paste is a better option. Recursive. Yeah, I think I have made a mess over here. Okay, let me execute both of them. And now if you see, since I passed 6 here, 6 square, 5 square, 4 square, 3 square, 2 square, 1 square. So similarly, if I just change it to 10, it will be 10 square all the way up to 1. So this is how a recursive function works. Very similar to a for loop. Ideally, if you have two options, either a for loop or a recursive function, preferably for loop, would be a better choice to go for. I just wanted to let you know that we also have another option in using the recursive function. In some cases, recursive functions could be a better option. Let's try to work out a similar example in R as well. So if I execute a for loop for I in 1 to 10 and print I square, all that I get is 1 square to 10 square. Now, if I want to do the same thing using a recursive function, I would be calling the function keyword, and inside the parenthesis, I would be passing n. And inside the function, what I want to do is I have to pass a condition, if condition. If n is greater than 0, then I need to print n first, that is n square. And after I print this, I want to call this function all over again. So let me give a name to this function, which is recursive, recursive square. So now if I return recur, recursive square, and inside the parenthesis, I will be passing n minus 1. All right. So this if condition will only follow till n is greater than 0. The moment n reaches 0, it does not know what to do because there is no else condition and nothing else inside the function. So it will just come out of the function. So now if I execute this function, did I miss out on anything? So I have this if condition here closed, and also, yeah, I think it's complete. So if I just execute this line, I'm sorry, I have to pass this inside the parenthesis. So if you see, return is still black in color, right? So you have to actually pass it inside the parenthesis. The moment you put a parenthesis here, the moment you put a bracket here, it now gets converted to a little reddish color. All right. So now if I execute this function, right, now if I call recursive square, and if I pass something like 10 inside and click on the run button, it prints all the numbers from 100 to 1. So 10 square, 9 square, 8 square, all the way up to 1 square. So this is how a recursive function operates in R and Python. Once again, if you have an option, if you have a choice between a for loop and a recursive function, for loop would be a better option to go for. But again, it also depends on case to case. But yeah, there is also an option of replacing a for loop with a recursive function. So this is what I wanted to share with you in this tutorial. I hope you found something new to learn. If you have any doubts, questions, feedback, suggestions, please do post them in the comment section. See you in the next tutorial. Thank you very much.